Hello everyone and welcome back to Love Online. I am Dr. Carla Dunbar. Today we are going to talk about neglect in marriage. But before I do, please like, subscribe and share this video. I call this marriage evangelism and this is how you can help me to save marriages globally. So go ahead, press that button, like, subscribe and share. I'm sure you know a few persons who could use this video. In over 20 years of practice, I have witnessed countless couples struggling with this invisible relationship killer, the devastating impact of emotional disconnection in marriage. And it often goes unrecognized because it's about what's missing rather than what's happening. Now, the hidden nature of marriage emotional neglect, unlike very obvious problems such as conflict or infidelity, emotional neglect in marriage can be difficult to be able to identify or to detect. Think about the last time you got some exciting news. Maybe you landed a promotion or you finished a project or you even achieved a personal goal that you set for yourself. Who is it that you wanted to tell first? Your spouse, right? For many of us, our spouses should be that person. But in marriages that suffer from neglect, the instinct to share often gets squashed because you are thinking of responses like, "That's nice, dear," while they continue scrolling through their phone if you're talking to them, or "Great, can you get me something on your way home?" And you just feel dismissed. And so your milestone birthdays seem to come and go without fanfare. The anniversaries come and go. That dinner that you spent a lot of time to think about, maybe a nice gift, but then something is just missing. The joy in your life is absent. The celebration of your personhood is absent. You feel mean or you feel self-centered to expect more because your spouse is so nice, but inside you're literally dying. And that's neglecting marriage. Modern marriages and emotional abandonment in the marriage. So for couples who are dealing with emotional neglect in your marriage, from the outside, both persons can be successful professionals. You can be active parents. You even go on regular date nights. I call this doing the functional rules. But one of you can feel hollow on the inside of your marriage because the relational rules are absent. Husbands are physically present, but emotionally elsewhere, always planning the next home improvement project. Wives are managing the kids and the activities or staying late or whatever at work. And so they are the perfect husband seemingly or the perfect wife on social media. But you can't tell at home because he or she just feels saddened by whatever the situation is at home and what is being shared. And decisions sometimes are even made but never mentioned. And when you ask, "Why should you make this decision without me?" you hear, "Why should I talk to you about these sorts of decisions?" Were they your personal decisions to make? But you have to understand that talking it through and getting each other's emotional support, it should occur to you. It should occur to both of you. And so husbands, you don't need to get defensive. Wives, you don't need to be defensive. You understand? It's not about reporting every decision you make to your wife or your husband. It's about them feeling left out and neglected when there's not the inclusivity in the relationship. So you need to know what the signs are for emotional neglect in your marriage, because there's this emotional void, this distance between spouses that it wears a kind of tricky disguise. I see partners who excel at practical support. They organize your entire calendar and your meal prep for the week and everything. But you freeze up when you try to share your fears or your dreams. You're not able to facilitate. And marriage intimacy problem doesn't just always look like the obvious signs of trouble. And instead they manifest themselves in very subtle ways. But this kind of emotional connection is so needed. So when you see loneliness creeping in, you're feeling alone even when your partner is there, lacking emotional depth in conversation, they're just on the surface. You lack the connection and the difficulty in discussing true feelings, the superficial talk, the logistics, the schedules, and it's not turning to your partner with good or bad news. It's just the everyday conversation and it's just not going through. It's a sign of emotional neglect. And then there's the invalidation. The partner downplays, the significance of what you're saying or dismissing your emotion as why are you so emotional, and you feel misunderstood or you feel unheard. And then there's the withdrawal and the stonewalling where your partner shuts down during conflict and gives the silent treatment for periods of time or even avoids difficult topic. All of these are signs of emotional neglect. And then there's the avoidance, avoiding physical affection, the PDA, that persons need that PDA, that's not happening. Special occasions or even the quality time that you see creeping into your relationship, emotional neglect. And then there is this feeling, it may not be true, but a feeling of being unseen, like you're there, but you're not really there, not feeling like you can be your true and authentic self. Your partner doesn't even read the nonverbal cues of distress that is there because you're living parallel lives and just loading separate lives under the same roof together, being there but not really being there. These are all signs of emotional neglect in relationship. You're communicating but you're not connecting. And so we need to work on that. One of my couples recently realized that, they had made eye contact at all week with their spouse despite working from home together. They had not really looked at each other. And so between the messages about the dinner plans and the texts and the children and the schedule, they were constantly communicating, but they were never really connecting where it really mattered. And so for this couple, this was an excellent noticing. You understand? And this is how emotional unavailability thrives in this current digital age that we're living in. We are more connected than over technology, and yet we struggle to remember how to be present with each other. That's why you married. You got married to be present. And many couples never really even notice the disconnect. Yeah? Never really understand the root of the emotional disconnect. And I often find that the emotional distant partners they're not really trying to be cold, because many learned early that emotions were dangerous or weak, especially if you're in the Caribbean context, especially for the men in our Caribbean context. The expressions of emotion tends to label them, stigmatize them as being weak. But we have to understand that it's not, and it's very important. And as psychotherapists, we talk about these emotional, thumbprints, from childhood as attachment styles. And while all of us want to be emotionally healthy, often we learn that how we feel about ourselves and other people are often unconscious and sometimes even confusing, right? And then there are the physical detachments in your marriage, because you have to understand the human body it's really incredibly smart about relationships. We have natural inclinations of feeling. And I tend to see it when my clients talk to me about developing mysterious headaches and stomach issues or insomnia before they are consciously admitting that their marriage is struggling with emotional abandonment. So I have to tap into it. One client even realized that she had started working late, not because she loved her job, but because her body was literally tense, just going home to the emptiness, the void, the vacuum. Yes? So how do you heal from emotional neglect? Well, this is important, and this is what we want to do to help you. It's real talk, real talk. Because when you're recovering from emotional neglect in a marriage, it's not quick or easy, it's a process. But I have watched countless couples who have rebuilt their emotional connection over the years, and it starts with moments of bravery. Just up and understand that it needs to be done. And it might very well begin with simply saying, I miss you. Is that so hard to say? I miss you. Instead of complaining about plates that aren't washed or bills that aren't paid, or just turning off your phone during dinner to really just see each other, just to focus. Yes? And so the practical steps for healing in your relationship is, one, just start small. It doesn't have to be a crescendo. Just start very small. Just share one genuine feeling each day. Like I said, I miss you is a good way to start. Miss what you had before. Miss what you're not seeing now. Even if it seems scary to you, just notice when your partner does the same, and just say that, because the path to overcoming relationship numbness in a marriage begins with these very small moments of being vulnerable. And then practice being present. When your spouse is talking, put down the phone. Put it down. Make eye contact. When I'm speaking with my husband, we turn to each other. We don't speak to, we speak with each other. Yes? Put down the phone, man, and allow your spouse to do the same thing. Ask questions about your spouse's feeling, not just about the facts. Building marital emotional support requires consistent, intentional effort. What you put in is what you're going to get out. And then get professional help, because that is important. Yes? Because for emotional starvation in marriage, whether it's through couples counseling or relationship workshop like the gym, the Grow Your Marriage Academy, or just personal therapy for yourself, reaching out for help is not admitting defeat. It's choosing to fight for your connection, if that is what is lacking and missing. And then looking beyond the emotional neglect in the marriage. There was a couple who came back to see me recently, 6 months after working through emotional neglect in their marriage. And we thought we had a good marriage, he said before. And then they told me, but what we have now, since we have started to work on it, is that we realize we have an idea now of what we are missing. And this is what intimacy really feels like. So if neglect is occurring in your marriage, it doesn't necessarily mean that your partner has stopped caring about you. There may have been many small changes that took place over time, and they brought you to the current situation that you're in. But by talking directly with each other and being empathetic in your approach, you can communicate your concerns, and you can also find solutions to the problem. The truth is, marriage is not meant to be just a shared Google Calendar and a coordinated childcare schedule that has just taken on the very active parenting. You deserve, both of you, to feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel emotionally connected to your partner. And so healing from emotional neglect in marriage, it is possible. And it's never too late to start. All you have to do is to want to have that start, desire to have that start. Let it not remain an intention, because there's a problem with good intention, is that it remains in an ideal, but actively reach out to ensure that you're seeking for the connection that you so desire in your marriage. Remember, Psalm 23:5, neither you nor your marriage is meant for just surviving. You are both meant for thriving and for overflowing. I thank you so much for watching, and I pray that your marriage has been impacted by what was shared. For more of these kind of advice and tips, register now at the Grow Your Marriage Academy online for courses, how to speak so your husband will listen, or loving your wife in a Christ-centered way, or sexual proficiency, marriage maintenance. These are all devised for you. And if parenting is a struggle, then effective parenting is what we also offer. And if you're single and you're watching, preparing yourself for marriage is a good way, or just wanting to know what it entails, then the Marriage Readiness Intelligence course is just for you. Until next time, Love and Line, I'll see you.